Are we good to go?
All
All
set.
right. Thank you, Jim. Hi, I am Michelle Rehill, Chair of the Board of Library Trustees. This open meeting of the Board of Library Trustees is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the town of Northborough has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of the Board of Library Trustees are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Board of Library Trustees to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to the Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. Members, I will call your name and please respond in the affirmative when I call you for your attendance. Mitch Cohen,
Mitch Cohen, aye.
Jim Hogan,
Jim Hogan, aye.
Hamilton Soriano. Not here. Nita Karanjkar,
Nita Karanjkar, aye.
Jocelyn McKelney. Oops, you were
Did not
muted.
hear you, Jocelyn.
We lost the audio.
Now?
Yep. There.
Jocelyn McKelney, aye.
Thank you. Charles Recchia,
Charles Recchia, aye.
Joan Scott,
Joan Scott, aye.
Richard Tucker,
Tucker, aye.
and Michelle Rehill is here. We also have President Jen Bruno, Library Director. And our host tonight is Jim DiGiulio. Whoa. I will officially call the meeting to order at 7:09 p.m. because I neglected to do that before we began the roll call. I have two opening remarks tonight. One is that we just need to keep an eye on the clock as we need to close down the trustees meeting so that the nominating committee can start their meeting at 7:45 p.m. So that will all become clear later. And my other opening remark is, I have a prepared statement because I didn't want to leave anything out. I don't really want to tell you this, but tonight is Jocelyn's last meeting as a library trustee. I respect the decision not to be reappointed to the board, but I'm very sad to see her go. Jocelyn, from the time that you joined the board in 2016, you've been a valued member. You hit the ground running and you graciously took on a number of challenges. In addition to your willingness to fill in as secretary whenever the need arose, you also took on the interim position of treasurer. And I know you gave a huge sigh of relief when Hamilton and his financial background joined the board. You were always willing to do the hard work. You consistently provided thoughtful input on all issues before the board, and you often managed to provide a little comic relief at just the right moment. And a little aside, I also appreciate that you were willing to act as chauffeur so that we could keep Jack Sharp on the board for an additional term. That was greatly appreciated. And I will miss having you on the board, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you, Michelle. I was not prepared for that statement, but appreciate the sentiments. I obviously joined the board under one set of circumstances and was pleased to remain when my father could no longer serve alongside with me. I am astounded by how much I have learned and pleased with the time I've been able to spend with everybody on this board and all the previous iterations in the past 4.5, 5 years. And it is my willingness to do the best for this committee that is pulling me away as outside commitments are making it a little more difficult. And as we move back into more of a normal life, I know that those demands will just get more and more. And I always want to bring my best to everything I commit to. So I say farewell for now and look forward to rejoining the board when outside commitments hopefully back off a little bit.
Yay. Thank you. All right. Now that I've gotten through that was hard to do. We will move on with the agenda. Could I have someone make a motion to approve the minutes of the March 9th meeting? Anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of March 9th, 2021 as presented.
All right. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Joan. All right, by roll call, to accept the minutes as presented. Mitch Cohen,
Mitch Cohen, aye.
Jim Hogan,
Jim Hogan, aye.
Nita Karanjkar,
Nita Karanjkar, aye.
Jocelyn McElhenney,
Jocelyn McElhenney abstain.
Charles Recchia,
Charles Recchia, aye.
Joan Scott,
Joan Scott, aye.
Richard Tucker,
Richard Tucker, aye.
and Michelle Rehill also says aye. The motion carries in the affirmative with one abstention. All right, moving on. The FY21 appropriations report. Does anyone have any questions or comments about that? Is there anything, Jen, that you want us to notice in particular, or?
Nothing in particular. We're still catching up some of the materials budget. We're still doing some large ordering and they're still backed up. So it's slowly catching up to where it should be for this time of the year. And it should continue to look like we're spending money,
Okay.
especially next month.
Yeah, I don't see that mountain of boxes behind you that you had last month.
There's a few out there, but yeah.
It was a literal mountain though last month, so that's good. That's good. Oops, I think I put the wrong thing aside here. Sorry. Got it. All right, I'm gonna get back on track. So if nobody has any questions or comments about the appropriations report? No, if not, then we will move on to the library director's report. I think as part of the library director's report, we put on there an item that will be to vote for the library opening plan. And Jen talks about that in her report. Does anybody have anything to ask or comment, feedback with regard to that particular item? Or anything else in the report, but I just want to make sure that if anybody has questions about the reopening plan, that we bring them up now, because we do want to officially approve this. Yes, Mitch.
A question, just because I didn't completely understand it. So the on-hold shelves that you're going to be establishing, the books will be not enclosed in a bag or anything like that, but the binding will be towards the back. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Okay. Is that considered privacy conscious enough in the library world?
Yeah. That's the best practice that I could get from asking around. Some people just put them spine out so you can see it. And some go to all the trouble of wrapping things, but I don't think that's necessary, especially because the hold shelf where people will be able to pick everything up is right within sight of the circulation desk. So we don't anticipate too many issues with it. But if it becomes apparent that we need to do something a little more secure, then we'll make that adjustment.
Okay. And you'll continue to have the reservation for holds pickups for people that don't come into the library during open hours, correct?
That's correct.
And what's the process for when someone walks into the library and wants to get something off of the shelf, off of a hold shelf?
If
Do they
it's,
take it and go, or do they have to check it out through either a kiosk, or it looks like you'll be using an app in the near future?
yep, we have, they would have two options really. We have the self-checkout, which is either through the app or the kiosk, or they can grab their holds and bring them up to the desk and the staff can check them out.
Okay. Thank you. That was my only question.
I do have one question. I'm not sure if it was in the most recent document or the previous reopening document that we had, but I recall reading that if a patron came to the library and refused to wear a mask, that patron would be asked to stay outside and would be serviced outside. Is my memory correct, Jim?
Yes, if somebody chooses, and there are of course medical exemptions, which we want to respect and honor. But basically, if somebody just does not want to wear a mask or refuses a mask for some reason, yeah, we would try to make as many accommodations as we can to still get them what they need, whether that's picking something up or bringing a laptop out for them to use in the parking lot, or any other accommodations that we can make.
Well, we
Yes, I
have
just had a
masks.
little-
I'm sorry, I stepped out of turn. Go ahead,
I
Jim.
just had a little concern with that, and that the medical issue I have no problem with.
Mhm.
But someone who just doesn't want to wear a mask, I don't know, I have an issue with that. Why should they be accommodated?
It's really hard to not make the accommodation without getting too much into why somebody won't wear a mask, or we don't want to, obviously we don't, there is a mask mandate, so they do have to wear a mask in the building. It just seemed like the right thing to do customer service wise, to not deny somebody access to the library simply because of a choice not to wear the mask. And that certainly the accommodation will depend on what kind of staffing or what they need. But if it's something easy, then, I don't know if I have a good answer for it. Rather than
No,
just, we didn't really want to turn people away completely.
And it's a tough issue, and I understand. But the implication is, if I were there, personally, me, I've been fully vaccinated, but I'm continuing to wear a mask everywhere I go.
Mhm.
I would leave. If I saw someone in the library refusing to wear a mask, I would personally just leave.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's what we don't want people
Right.
coming in, so the greeter, which will be me or one of the department heads to start, would stop somebody from being able to enter. And if they forgot a mask, we'll have
that's
extra masks.
a different issue. Yeah, totally different issue. Right.
Yeah. But if they refuse, then they won't be allowed to come in the building because it's a safety issue.
Okay. And it's a tough thing on you and your staff, and I totally understand that. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the fact that you're, what you're doing. And it's hard. I just wanted to get that little point out. Okay, I'm done.
Anybody else have any questions or comments about the reopening plan?
Mitch, did you have a question?
I did, but it was already answered. My question was whether masks would be available to anyone who either forgot or maybe didn't want to wear one, but would wear one upon prompting. I both saw that in Jen's report, and Jen mentioned that verbally a moment ago. Thank you.
All right. All right, if there are no other questions or comments about it, would someone like to make a motion to accept the library reopening plans as presented in the library director's report?
I'll
So
move
moved.
to accept them as presented.
All right, that's Charles. And would somebody like to second that?
I'll second that.
All right. All right, and by roll call, motion to accept the reopening plan as presented in the library director's report. Mitch Cohen,
Mitch Cohen, aye.
Jim Hogan.
Jim Hogan, aye.
I'm not here, sorry. Nita Karanjkar,
Nita Karanjkar, aye.
Jocelyn McCellany,
Jocelyn McCallany, aye.
Charles Recchia,
Charles Recchia, aye.
Joan Scott,
Joan Scott, aye.
Richard Tucker,
Richard Tucker, aye.
and Michelle Rehill also votes aye. The motion carries unanimously to approve the library reopening plan as presented in the library director's report.
Congratulations, Jen.
Yay!
Thank you, Jen.
So
Now,
Nice
good luck
job.
and be safe and keep everyone else safe.
we will. We'll keep everybody safe. And I believe all of the staff qualifying for vaccination will be vaccinated by, plus that 2-week buffer by May 15th. Most of the staff will be all set to go by May 3rd.
That's great.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Yay. We're so excited to see people again.
I'm
I hope
excited
you're
to go
welcome.
in again.
And we'll be excited to be there too.
Yes.
I was beginning to think it would never happen, but I'm happy to see that.
Actually, I have a question. Will we be doing any kind of press release or anything else to announce the opening?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful.
Yep, I will get working on that press release. Well, all right, full disclosure, I've already been working on it. So I'll have everything, I would say by Thursday, we'll start to get everything out. Just to give me tomorrow to finalize everything.
Okay. Oh, my word. We've been talking about trying to reopen the library for so long that it's like, oh, so far off in the future. And then I'm sitting here and it's like, we're going May 3rd, May 3rd, May 3rd. And I'm like, oh, that's really soon. It's suddenly very soon.
Yes.
Wow. Super exciting. Okay. Any other questions about the library director's report before we move on to my new business? All right. The next item is I have to appoint the nominating committee. I'll set it backwards. Mitch Cohen, Nita Karanjkar, and Joan Scott. You have been appointed to the nominating committee. It is your job to nominate people for the chair, vice chair, treasurer, and secretary position. When you have had your meeting and had that, you can present the slate of officers at the May 11th meeting. And the vote will take place at the annual meeting, which is on June 8th. So that is, and we have scheduled that meeting and appropriately posted the agenda for that meeting. It will be at 7:45 p.m. today. So after this meeting is over, that meeting will start. So I think that's all I have there. And date of the next meeting will be May 11th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Make sure that I said that correctly. Is there any other business that may come before the board at this time?
I have a question for Jen. Just as a matter of interest, did the library run into any issue or take any action about the Dr. Seuss books?
We did not have any of the titles in question still in our collection. So it really didn't.
It makes it easy.
Oh yeah, it did. We didn't have to worry about them being sold on eBay or anything like that. So yeah, we kind of dodged that one.
And I have one issue, which I bring up every month, actually. I just want to remind everyone that the MBLC continues with its series of programs geared for trustees. And I went this past month to the session that they had on recruiting new trustees. And later, that was in March. And the April meeting is going to be on trustees' involvement with strategic planning, which I'm also very interested in, and I will be attending. And I think as part of the Long Range Planning Committee, I think that the strategic planning will be a good one for me to go to. So I would encourage any of you, if you got a half an hour or an hour or so of spare time, you might want to look into any of these MBLC sessions. And then in June, they're doing a session on orientation for trustees. It is not geared just to new trustees, but it is geared to new trustees, seasoned trustees, because things change. And in fact, any trustees. So these are all very, very good sessions. They were very worthwhile. They don't take a lot of time, and they're painless. And so I would just encourage any of you to take a look at any one of them. And if you need any help getting connected with them, you can email me. That would be fine. Or I'm sure Jen, I hate to volunteer her, but I'm sure Jen would be happy to help as well. So thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
All righty. If that is it on the business, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. And the chair would really like it if perhaps Jocelyn were the one to make that motion.
Thank you, Michelle. And I have to say, it took all the way to my last meeting, but you nailed the pronunciation of my name today. So thank you very much.
Oh, been working at it. I have been working at it. All
And
right.
with that, I move that we adjourn our meeting.
All right. Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Nita. All right.
We'll miss you, Jocelyn, though.
Yeah.
We will.
I'm still watching. I'm not going to be far.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go to the
you're gonna be
YouTube
one of those
version.
YouTube lurkers. But you know what? We'll go through this. I'll do this, and I think we'll have a few minutes once this is closed, if anybody wants to make any comments. And then that way, and we'll be ready for the 7:45 appropriation. I mean, the nominating committee, appropriations committee, where'd that come from? The nominating committee meeting. So for the motion to adjourn, Mitch Cohen,
Which going I?
Jim Hogan,
Jim Hogan, aye.
Nita Karanchkar,
Nita Karanchkar, aye.
Jocelyn McElhenney,
Jocelyn McElhenney, aye.
Charles Recchia,
Charles Recchia, aye.
Joan Scott. Oh, you muted.
Joan Scott, aye.
Richard Tucker.
Richard Tucker, aye.
And Michelle Rehill also says aye. The motion carries in the affirmative unanimously. So I will call the meeting adjourned at 7:31